And this is a Fox News alert. Angry anti-Trump protesters and protests breaking out in major cities now all across the country after Donald Trump's major electoral victory. We're going to be following those closely tonight. Joining us now with reaction, the editor-in-chief of LifeZette, Fox News contributor, and a nationally syndicated radio host. I had the honor of being on our show this morning. Laura Ingraham, you are one of the few. Monica Crowley, Herman Cain, Newt Gingrich is coming up. We saw the possibility, and so many of our colleagues, let's put it that way, were hoping upon hope that they'd be trashing us today. Why do you see this?
Well, I went...
Yeah, you what?
Yeah, I went on Twitter before when I was listening to your report, and I just started posting flashback prognostications from a year ago and summertime. It's over. Hillary's won the presidency. Donald Trump can never win the presidency. Our friend Eric Erickson, I've disinvited him from Red State. I'm sorry, but I do think it's not gloating. It's a realization that the forgotten people, as you described so aptly, have looked for a champion. Not someone who's perfect, but someone who they know when push comes to shove will fight for them. First, fight for their interests, fight for their future, fight for their children. And they found that person in Donald Trump, and they found it on the issues of trade, of globalization, of borders, of Obamacare. And as you pointed out, Sean, calling out the politically correct verbiage that is propagated on college campuses. A lot of the protesters that you're seeing tonight with their foul language and their disrespect, they embody what is being taught on college campuses: illogical thinking, poor grammar, bromides, cliches. There's no real substance. It's just an emotion. Everyone's emoting tonight. And as my deceased mother would have said, suck it up, Buttercup. It's not fun to lose, but not everybody gets a trophy. That's another falsehood that's been taught by the modern culture. So Trump held up a mirror to all these failures, and he called them out brashly sometimes. But it was invigorating for a lot of folks. We didn't know how it was going to end, but we thought that if these issues were put forward in a really bold way, he'd have a fighting chance against the Clintons, frankly, the Bushes, Hollywood, academia, and some of the GOP establishment here in Washington, D.C., and along with Hillary and all of her henchmen. And by golly, he did it. And I think we should learn a lot about just what people generally want, which is just a chance at a better life and less government.
Those people are suffering needlessly, and they've been suffering for a long time. And you know, when you think of how bad things got in the last 8 years, nobody seemed to want to talk about that. You're right. Donald Trump went up against the Republican establishment, the Democratic establishment, the media establishment, the globalist establishment. You know, Brett Baer, they asked me to call in last night, so I called in, and he asked me, well,
I saw that.
How is Donald Trump going to deal with House Republicans and Democrats? And I said, I don't think that's the question. I think it's how are they going to deal with him? Because he will set the agenda.
Yeah.
He has the mandate, not those people that in part created the opening for him, I would argue.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's the one who was elected. He's the one who took the slings and arrows of the Democrats, again, the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, all the Hollywood elites who like to campaign every 4 years for the Democratic nominee. He took that, he dished it out, but he also took it. And now is a time for those in Congress who didn't really have a light bulb on this until recently, to stand up and say, we hear you people, we hear the people of the country, we hear your concerns, and we're going to work tirelessly for your benefit, not for just the Chamber of Commerce or the Business Roundtable or for the big donors, but for the workaday person who sometimes has to, work at night or work 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. And as long as Donald Trump does that, and as he expands the understanding of what he's trying to do, this populist appeal, I think he should continue to push into inner city America. He shouldn't do what Bush did oftentimes, which is to write off the people. And Romney did that with a 47% comment. Don't write off any of America. Go into those inner cities. Continue to do that. Push into the Latino community, the black community. You bumped up the returns among Latinos and blacks 2% in each category. That's not bad, considering how he was vilified by the press for what he believed and what he said. So I think there's an enormous growth potential, both for the economy, Sean, and also for this populist message that a lot of those kids that are running around New York and Portland, Oregon tonight, they don't really understand. They've never been taught it in college campuses, and they certainly haven't been taught it at home, most likely.
I think one of the more underreported platforms of Trump was his New Deal with Black America and African Americans, and that is that we're going to make your community safer, we're going to fix your schools, and we're going to create economic zones where people can obviously benefit. If he's successful in enticing multinational corporations by giving us one of the lowest tax rates in the industrialized world, and he allows the repatriation of trillions that companies won't bring in because of the high tax rate, what if he incentivized them even further to go into those communities that have been hit hardest with the highest unemployment numbers and where kids can't get summer jobs? And wouldn't that be helpful and show Republicans do care about Americans working, regardless of race, creed, color, background?
Right. Sean, you're right. Results matter. And he won, even though the kids in the street don't really like it. You know, they want to cause trouble. I get that. But he won, and now it's time to implement this agenda. We know the old ways haven't worked. We've piled up debt. You've cataloged this, by the way, better than anyone on television, night after night after night. What these failed ideas have done to middle-class Americans, people just entering the workforce, young people right out of college, you've cataloged it. It's devastating. These policies do not work. We have to try new policies. Trump campaigned on that. I hope everybody in Congress on the Republican side stands with him instead of fighting him. I mean, they didn't fight Obama on a lot of things. They shouldn't fight Trump on the issues that propelled him into the presidency. I hope we don't see that because we certainly didn't see that gusto in trying to roll back these executive orders of Obama or defund the Planned Parenthood. So I hope they certainly stand with him on these issues that you've hit every night.
You know, I think with the lower tax rates, Reagan did it, John F. Kennedy did it. Add to that a push towards energy independence, the Keystone Pipeline, fracking, natural gas, drilling oil.
Yeah, new trade deals. Trade deals.
Yeah, free and fair.
I mean, this is an amazing country with magnificent people who want to work. They don't want to be slaves to the government. And if he implements this agenda, this will be a renaissance across America. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. But he's got to resist the idea of, like, going into your cocoon. Keep doing what he did in Detroit and all across this country that drove the left crazy. Sean, now you know why it drove the left crazy. Because he's getting into their territory that they've dominated for so long. I'm very excited about the potential.
I think there's a lot of potential and a lot of work to do. There's no doubt about it. A lot of Republicans will have to get on board or get out of the way. Laura, good to see you. Thank you.
Exactly.